Good morning. My name is Judge Shamir Trimble. Welcome to the City of Fort Valley and the Fort Valley Municipal Court. Before we call the calendar, I'm going to take a few minutes to discuss the procedures of the court as well as certain constitutional rights that you have when you are charged with a crime or a traffic offense in Georgia. No weapons of any type are permitted in the courtroom. Please silence any cell phones. Restrooms are up the hall to the right. Please keep small children with you at all times. If your child becomes disruptive, please leave the courtroom. If you need to leave the courtroom, please give your name to the court security or court clerk before you leave. In the event the courtroom is filled to capacity, priority is given to individuals with a pending matter on the docket, attorneys, and parents of minors. One of your most important rights is the presumption of innocence. You received a ticket or some tickets, and technically all those tickets are a charge of a crime. In other words, you've been accused of doing something. However, according to this court, you are presumed innocent of those charges unless you tell me that you're guilty or unless you have been proven guilty. You have the right to have a lawyer, whether or not you can afford one to represent you throughout these proceedings. In addition, you have the right to have a jury trial. The court does not hold jury trials. However, if you want a jury trial, you can let us know and I will decide whether or not this case will be bound over to the Superior Court where jury trials are held in Peach County. Today is an arraignment calendar, which means it is your chance to tell the court how you're going to plead to the charges. You have a couple of choices in that regard, which include a plea of guilty or not guilty. Some people feel they are guilty, but not as guilty as the ticket suggests, meaning they want to plead guilty with an explanation, which is also fine. Just make that known when your name is called. You may have heard about a nolo contendere plea or a no contest plea. That is very much the same as a guilty plea, but in some cases it will help you with the points on your license. If you want me to consider that, I will be more than happy to consider that as well. Just be sure to make that announcement when your name is called. Most of these are relatively minor traffic offenses that usually entail little to no jail time. However, there are instances where jail time may be warranted. Additionally, most tickets include a fine, and those fines are due today. If we find ourselves in a situation where you are ordered to pay a fine, but you don't have it to pay today, the only choice this court has is to put you on probation. Probation is not an easy payment plan, rather an expensive payment plan. It costs an average of $45 every month you are on probation on top of whatever the fine is. So for example, if you are ordered to pay $500 and you do not have it today, you're placed on probation. It may take 6 months on probation to pay that fine. You may end up paying double of the amount that you owed. If that is the situation we find ourselves in, probation is the tool we have to deal with that situation in this court. In a moment, we will call the calendar. When your name is called, please stand up and announce loud enough for everyone to hear. Remember, your choices are guilty, not guilty, guilty with an explanation, nolo contendere or no contest. In some situations, a pretrial conference with the solicitor is appropriate. You should have received a waiver of rights form. Here's the English version of that form, and here's the Spanish version. The English version reads, by signing the waiver of rights form, you are indicating or attesting that you are the defendant in the above referenced action. Also, that as the defendant in this case, you have been duly sworn and you state the following. You're not under the influence of alcohol or drugs, nor are you suffering from any mental or physical disability. You understand that you've been advised of the nature of the charges against you, the maximum and minimum punishment provided by law, and your rights to be represented by private counsel or by a public defender if you are eligible. You understand that by entering the plea of guilty or nolo contendere that you waive the right to a trial by jury, the presumption of innocence, the right to confront witnesses against you, the right to assistance of counsel during trial, and the right not to incriminate yourself. You also understand that by pleading not guilty, you may choose a jury or bench trial. If you choose to remain silent and not enter a plea of not guilty will be entered on your behalf and you will obtain a bench trial. By signing this form, you either elect that you are not represented by counsel and you understand the nature of the charges against you and the consequences of the plea, and you freely and voluntarily waive the benefit of counsel and choose to represent yourself in this proceeding. Or you may say, I now desire to enter my plea of guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere, or no contest to the charges against me. It is free and voluntary. I have not been told what sentence will be imposed. No promises or threats have been made to me by any district attorney, solicitor, lawyer, police officer, or other person to induce me to enter this plea. This form also reads that you understand that if you are placed on non-reporting or reporting probation, that you cannot violate any criminal laws of any government unit or any special conditions of probation without being subject to revocation for the balance of the sentence. You understand that by entering a plea to a crime of domestic violence, that you will be prohibited from possessing a firearm under federal law. This form, by signing it, you understand that if you are not a U.S. citizen, that a plea may adversely impact your immigration status. You hereby acknowledge or waive receipt of a copy of the accusation in the above style case, and by signing this form, you swear under penalty of perjury that these statements are true. Please indicate your name, sign it legibly, and date. As a defendant, you need to list your name, your social security number, your date of birth, your complete address, telephone number, employment, and the address and phone number in which your employer can be reached. If you're satisfied with it, then you can present it to the court for its consideration. And the Spanish part reads,
Yo, nombre, tengo edad, años de edad y terminé años de educación. Yo no soy ciudadano de los Estados Unidos. Circule 1. Entiendo la naturaleza de los cargos. Reconozco que por la ejecución de este documento y al entrar la súplica del culpable no lo contendré, puedo ir a la cárcel por un periodo de 12 meses por cada cargo y puedo recibir hasta $1,000 de multa por cada cargo. Reconozco que el momento de entrar a esta súplica no estoy bajo los efectos de alcohol, ni de drogas, ni de ningún medicamento. Reconozco que tengo el derecho a la presunción de inocencia, el derecho de confrontar testigos en mi contra, el derecho a citar testigos y ofrecer otras evidencias. Reconozco que tengo derecho a un juicio por jurado. Reconozco que al entrar a la súplica de no lo contendré o culpable, me niego a un juicio por jurado. Admito haber entrado a esta súplica libre y voluntariamente y en plena conciencia, y admito que nadie me ha prometido nada ni me ha amenazado para influir mi decisión a suplicar. Admito que al entrar en esta súplica renuncio a lo siguiente: A, el derecho a juicio por jurado. B, la presunción de inocencia. C, el derecho de confrontar testigos en mi contra. D, el derecho a citar testigos. E, el derecho a testificar y ofrecer otras evidencias. F, el derecho de la asistencia de un abogado durante el juicio. G, el derecho de no incriminarme. Reconozco que no estoy en probatoria y al admitir mi culpabilidad, esta es la causa de revocar la probatoria. Reconozco que no soy ciudadano de los Estados Unidos de América y que al entrar a esta petición me puede afectar mi estatus migratorio.
My goal is to get us out of here as quickly as possible. To do that, we usually take the not guilty pleas first, so that those individuals can be resummoned for a bench trial at a later date. It is imperative that if you elect to have a bench trial, that you are pleading not guilty and you bring whatever evidence you want the court to consider with you when you return. Likewise, you need to make sure that you have properly noticed any witnesses that you intend to call on your behalf. If you are unclear of how to do this, you can get with the clerk of municipal court on how and what you need to do. Next, we will take the guilty pleas, because this is the easiest way to get as many people out of the building as soon as possible. Keep in mind, we may have some inmates and lawyers in the room as well, and you may see me take those cases out of order. Don't be offended, because the inmates have somewhere very special that they may need to return. As far as the lawyers, someone is paying them, usually by the hour, and I do not want them to make any more money than they have to. It is my honor to serve the city of Fort Valley as its judge. It is my duty to ensure that today's proceedings are fair. You may not be happy with the results of your case today, but I want you to leave this courtroom knowing that the process was fair to you. Thank you for your attention, and at this time, we will proceed with the calling of the count.